Welcome to the Period Besties Podcast with Stasha and Katie. Think about it as chatting with your best friends about all the TMI stuff you've never talked about before with two period coaches who've been helping hormones collectively for over 20 years now. I'm Stasha.
And I'm Katie, and we're pulling back the curtain on what it's like in the world of menstrual coaching. From puberty to menopause and everything in between, we're here to show you how period coaching can save the day. We'll share practical tips and information you can put to immediate use to improve your hormones and happiness.
We're removing the mystery, ending the taboo, and shining a light on just how powerful period coaching can be.
So whether you need period coaching or are considering becoming a period coach yourself, these episodes are going to help you. We'll share stories, coach live on air, and bring smart, savvy guests to share their wisdom too. Let's start today's episode.
Welcome to Period Besties Podcast. Today we are diving into the follicular phase for business, and I am really excited about this one. It's definitely the feel-good phase for getting stuff done on the business, and if you are into dopamine hits, this is your phase for ticking things off of your list and getting a little bit of happy juice in your brain. We love our follicular phase. It is the strategy phase. It's the how phase. Your hormones are rising. Your abilities to think things through and do stuff is on fire in this phase. So I know we talked a little bit with Eileen about luteal. Don't do the things that make you want to throw your computer across the room. Save them for follicular. This is that phase, right? It may still be hard, but it won't be hard and emotionally damaging.
That's a good way to put it.
One of the things we've been talking about is the what, why, how, do. And so the follicular phase is the how phase. So this is absolutely that strategy phase. And if you've taken the things from your what and why phase, right, that luteal, what's working, what's not working, and you kind of jotted those things down, you've got probably a pretty good list going into follicular already, right? Like, oh, this is working and we're going to do more of this. Oh, this isn't working. How are we going to eliminate it or delegate it or systemate, automate, whatever it is, right? So you might need to do a little adjusting. You might just be like, oh no, I'm done. But how phase is the great time to work out all those things, those little step-by-steps, those little actions, and then to put in all the steps, right? So it's like, I'm running a webinar. I need to make a landing page, make a form, an opt-in box, a welcome email, a thank you page, right? So all those little bits and pieces, listing them out in follicular if you haven't done it in luteal. Sometimes it feels good to just list everything out in luteal and get it out of your brain so it's not knocking around in there in luteal. But sometimes in follicular, you can kind of come back and go, oh, I missed a little thing or two. So I definitely like early in follicular, like as I'm coming out of the menstrual phase and starting to feel good, but not 100% yet, just reviewing the what's and whys, putting them together, organizing, and then just getting ready so that when I really hit follicular, all it is going down the list. I'm never sitting down at my desk in follicular going, okay, what do I do now? What's next on my list is the only question I'm going to ask myself, and I'm going to look at the list and it's going to be there. Don't ever go into the follicular phase going, what do I need to do? And having nothing, right?
Such a good point, because yes, this is my time for my brain to be more creative. I'm more in flow. And I hate not having something to do in this phase, because I know right now, especially in perimenopause, that I need to capture my brain being focused and clear and actually having a plan. And this is when I really try to write my newsletters. You know, my husband's been out of the country, so I missed the boat this time with my follicular phase because I was just trying to get the bare necessities done. But I know when that comes back around, I'm going to be writing the next month newsletters out. So now I am getting quick little last minute bursts of ideas right now. And I'm just writing everything down because I know my brain can't handle doing the creative part right this moment. But I have all these ideas that I'm just getting onto paper because I'm still in that idea place. So Yeah, I love this phase for just execution, honestly, like just getting shit done.
100%. And actually, something that you just said is so genius. It's also really good for copy editing. So that creative writing stuff we talked about with the live coaching, and you just mentioned doing some creative writing. It's also really good for editing. So it's a great time to take that why journaling and turn it into copy for the sales page, for the sales pitch, for the landing page, right? Those kinds of things, and boiling things down into even just your dot points or the what's going to be bold, what's going to be highlighted, like what's really important. Making some of those kinds of decisions is really good. And follicular is a great decision-making phase. We get to decision fatigue, and I know that they talk about it in the business guru world as like a daily decision fatigue. And sure, absolutely. We all have a circadian rhythm. We all have decision fatigue by day. But with our cycles, decision fatigue is shorter in that luteal menstrual phase than it is in that follicular ovulation phase. So when you are also, I need to make a bunch of decisions, follicular is a great time to sit down and go, okay, I need to make some decisions. Sometimes you're in that luteal phase and you're like, you know what? This is done. I'm not doing this anymore. I hate it. Listen to that, right? Like there's something in there too. And it might be come to follicular and go, okay, I decided in luteal, I hated it. I was never doing it again. Now, is that true? What do I really think about it? And maybe it just needs to be adjusted. Maybe it needs to be hired out. Maybe it's just not for you. It's like, not everybody wants to do video. Some people love to write. Not everyone loves to write. Some people would just rather do video. Like you don't have to do both. You can also use the tools that exist out there now to help fill those gaps in, to AI it, maybe talk to text it or something. So it might be a matter of coming into follicular and go, well, how could I make this easier? How could I make this more fun? How could I make this more engaging? How could I make this just a more pleasant experience for myself? So sometimes that follicular phase is really good with just making something doable or eliminating it in a way that's graceful and responsible for your business instead of just blowing it up and walking away.
I know. I think sometimes too, it's emotionally taxing sometimes to have a deep luteal phase where it feels like you want to just blow the business up, right? And then sometimes it's the first few days when you get your period, you're like, okay, I'm coming off of this feeling and then transitioning. So that's why I just love journaling in general, because I really notice when I go back, I'm like, okay, yeah, I feel like this every time of this cycle. I know it's just a phase. And it's also a phase of like where we are in the year. We've talked about this many times, but January is one of the hardest times of the year for me because my body wants to hibernate, right? And that's what we should be doing. But then the world is like, Happy New Year, let's go, let's go. And every January, I have this deep reflection time and I want to make all these changes. And this year was the first time I said, Katie, it's just January. Just relax. Yeah. And I didn't go down that path. And I was like, oh, okay. So it reminded me when you were talking about that of just that deep luteal, just being like, oh, okay, this will pass. Mm-hmm. And then coming into that. And that's why I like to journal when no matter how I'm feeling, but I tend to journal more when I'm feeling that type of energy, like oh my God, the dreadful energy. So just write that down and I can go back. And that's always a good reflection when I'm in this phase too. Because I'm like, okay, so what wasn't working, but then maybe not. Maybe it's just how I was feeling. And now I can just relax into it. And that's just I'm sharing this because it's a practice. And I feel like we're talking about this, but we've been living like this for years. We've been living in flow and cycle. So everyone listening, it is a practice and it takes time to really connect the dots and be mindful. So if you're charting, right, you just put on there, especially if you're a business owner, how you feel each phase of the cycle in your business. So then you can go back and be like, oh yeah, I always feel like this. Why am I seeing clients right now? I should be proactively moving them. or if you can, right? But I think it's good to track how you feel in your business with your cycle so that you can see the pattern, so that you're not constantly trying to hire a copywriter, hire a social media person, like hire all these people when you're not feeling in flow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a business PMS.
Yes. Yeah.
What are your business PMS symptoms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
No, it is. It is.
I love that. Business PMS. Okay.
Absolutely. And our money mindset changes with our cycle as well. Like there's a whole chapter in Bloody Brilliant Business about money mindset because it changes with your cycle, and our money spending habits also change with our cycle. Like one of the things I found really interesting was that in luteal, we'll make more impulsive buys. And so and it's true, I find myself in that kind of maybe mid to deeper luteal phase doing that, being like, I'm just going to hire a copywriter. I'm just going to hire a graphic designer. I'm so frustrated and annoyed and nothing's working. It's just, my brain is like, and nothing's working. It's all ending. The world is coming down. Your business sucks. So, in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to I'm going to throw money into ads. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Right. I'm going to just throw money at the problem as if I have like millions of dollars I'm sitting on or something. But I'm like, I'm just going to do this. And it's true. We also do this, like, it's when you're more inclined to buy the little tchotchkes on the checkout line. Right? The everyday equivalent. So it's true. We see that happening. It's when you're standing in the TJ Maxx checkout line, you're like, oh my God, I need that mug. Do you really need another mug? Probably not. But in ovulation, we tend to impulse buy big ticket items. And more, because you go from that deeper luteal spending of I need to fix everything, it's all dying, to ovulation where it's like everything's amazing. I'm going to make so much money. Don't even worry about it. Let's invest. So there's kind of 2 points in our cycle where we also spend. And when it comes to business, I see it all the time in business clients where they come in and they're like, oh, I'm just going to get this huge system. And I'm like, really? Where are you in your cycle right now? Are you close to ovulation? Because I feel like you're probably close to ovulation right now.
That's really interesting. I need to go back and read your book. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I feel like as you were talking, I was like, that means I actually have to get out of the house and get to a store. Because I like just never, but maybe I got to look at my like Amazon cart.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at your online shopping carts. Mine are full in certain times but I don't buy. I just let it sit there. And then that's where you go back in follicular and you go, okay, is this something that would really benefit my business? Is this something that's in the budget? So you come back in follicular, especially around money stuff, and sit with it and go, is this truly, like, now go through that shopping cart. Now look at the big ticket item you're thinking about and look at it again in follicular and decide if that's really in the budget, smart move, needed, something that you should be getting, the next step.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like I was just laughing at my shopping cart because I feel like I never buy anything. I just save it for later.
Me too.
Constantly. And then I'm like, I don't have what I need. Well, it's in my cart. Why didn't I just buy it? But that's really interesting. I also feel like follicular too, in terms of like business, if you do a lot of networking, like if you can even around follicular, like right before ovulation, scheduling workshops, scheduling sales calls, scheduling networking events is also because you're going to be more social, you're going to be more extroverted, you're going to be more on. That's also something to really think about. I feel like 50% of the time I'm able to really do that just because not all of them I'm scheduling, obviously. But I do feel like I can show up way better, more confident, more in my body, more just even sharing what I want to say comes easier when I do that too. But especially networking. I love people. I'm an extrovert. But as I get older, I need more introverted, alone hibernation time. But I can be social up until deep luteal. And then I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want anyone touching me. I don't want to have to make an effort. But I've noticed that too, and like really trying to schedule those things as much as possible. And we talked about this about doing more quarterly planning versus yearly planning, which is what everybody talks about. like get those big ideas out. But then quarterly planning actually helps you, especially if it's hard for you to do the networking if you need to for your business, and really planning that around like when you're actually going to feel good. And a big thing for me is actually like what I'm going to wear. I feel like I can put anything on in the follicular phase and I'm like, okay, cool. And then the deep luteal, I'm like, oh my God, I hate all my clothes. I don't feel comfortable, even though I know it fits. It just doesn't feel the same. And that sometimes deters a lot of women from actually going to a networking event, right? Is that not feeling comfortable in your body because you're in that deep luteal, you're more bloated, you're PMSing. So that's also something to really be mindful about if you can with your business, is scheduling things that you need to do out of the house.
Oh, true. Gold, absolute gold. And then as you do it more and more, you get more comfortable and it gets to be easier to go do it in those other phases for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
feel
I
like
love that.
Yeah, it gets easier. This is the thing, Stasha. I just don't want to do it. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. It totally gets easier. I think I'm at the point in my life, I'm going to be 46. Yeah, I said yes, I'm just not going to go.
Yeah.
Like, thank God I finally got there. But I'm like, yeah, I just don't want to do that.
I know, it's true. It's like, unless I'm the sponsor or a sponsor for the event, if I'm in that luteal, deep luteal menstrual phase, I'm not going.
We're good.
Yeah, no, same for sure. No, I love that. That's such a good point. And if you can schedule, like you said, sales calls, your consult calls or discovery calls, whatever you particularly want to call them, clarity calls is also a good one. Those kinds of things, of follicular ovulation for sure, even early luteal. But when you're first getting started, I like to keep sales calls, discovery calls, whatever you want to call them, but that little call there, really relegated to a small part of your cycle when you're feeling confident, when you're feeling clear, when you're feeling like, oh yeah, I can go do this. It's okay. I know that this is one of those struggles when you're starting a business. You're like, oh my gosh, I have to be available all of the time. You really don't. You really need clear times to do different things, especially when you're getting started. I really like to see those clarity calls in that follicular phase. All those kinds of fun things, those sales calls, webinars, even anything that you're going to be doing out facing, if you can keep them in that follicular phase, really good time to do it, really good, strong time to do it. And then as you get more comfortable with it, you can expand it. Right. So as you get comfortable doing sales calls, you can move them into phases where you might not necessarily have felt as confident before, but now you've done a bunch and you feel much more comfortable. You're in it. And so doing that webinar, doing that sales call, doing that forward facing thing is a lot easier in other phases. So start off really just giving yourself that space. And then as you feel more comfortable, you can open it up more if you want, but also you might not want to, and that's okay too. Like, you need to have behind the scenes time. You need to have forward facing time. Make it work for your cycle rather than worrying about everyone else or being available all the time to everyone all of the time. It's too much.
It is. I think we've all been there, especially when you look back at how you started your business and where you were. I definitely felt that I had to be in my business all the time versus, are you on your business? Are you in your business? Right? There's a huge distinction with that. I've been reading a lot of articles lately about that. I don't know why. I don't know who's targeting me on Instagram, but the algorithm, like, I keep seeing that. It's like, how are you working in or on your business? And it's really about, when you work with flow, you can feel when you're going to be wanting to be more forward facing. Like, I know the other day I filmed a video. I haven't posted it yet, but I was feeling it that day. I had makeup on. I was like, I'm going to do this. I was in follicular. I was feeling great. And now I have it when I'm in luteal and I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, oh, cool. I have a video. I can post it. So I've been really trying to work that way with energy, but having kids definitely changed a lot of my work with flow because I just had to be on all the time. So really trying to figure out the business being on and then being on with my kids too. It's definitely been challenging.
Yeah, batching content is such a great thing to do in follicular. And I love that you said that. And I actually, one of the things that you do with your videos clicked for me recently, where you'll post video of you walking along the beach or strolling with the kids or something, but then you have text over it. And I was like, this is the genius move for luteal. I'll take video when I'm out hiking when in follicular and I'm feeling good. And then I can do the voiceover stuff, talking and posting it right then and there in follicular. But then I could take a couple other videos while I'm doing it. And then when I'm in luteal, I could put the text over or I could do a voiceover. Then I have the video of the movement, the interesting content, whatever it is. It's there so that when I am in deep luteal and now I'm bed bound, I can have that kind of content to put out if I want to, and I can still do the deep luteal bed bound look. This is just how it is content, which I feel for the disabled, chronically ill community in my audience, representation matters, right? So I do like doing that as well. But yeah, I was watching some of your videos and I thought, oh, that's what I'm going to start doing. So in follicular, I have been out harvesting video for background stuff.
I love that. Yeah, because it's like I started watching other people do that. I'm like, oh, it's not, I don't know. Social media is constantly changing, as we know, we talk about all the time. So I was like, oh, how do I make this easier for myself? I'm like, oh, I can do this. And because I realized too, when I opened my phone before I had kids, I used to take beautiful photos and videos of random things, of me doing random things all the time. And now it's just my kids. So I'm like, I don't even have anything of me to post. Okay, I'll walk down the street. I'll drink some water. It's like quick things because my life has changed. So what I have to share.
Yeah.
And I don't really share my kids. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Walk down the street and take a video.
Same. All of my camera roll is now one of the four or a combination of the four furry animals in the house. And that's it.
It's just funny, but I was like watching other people too. Cause I was like, and what I like about social media trend right now is not the perfection.
Yes.
It's just like what you're doing and sharing all of that. Some of that's still not necessarily real, but I remember when I started just posting like the most beautiful photo and all of that, which I miss, honestly. I just want to take photos and share. I don't want everything to be like this deep, soulful message. I just like, look at this pretty flower.
Yeah, I know. My Instagram has sort of gone back to that. In the last, I don't know, maybe month or two, I've been like, I'm not treating Instagram like a thing anymore. I'm just going to post the things that I want to post and that are funny and make me happy or whatever, but whatever it is. And I think also I do like TikTok for that because there's a lot of people who just post a video in bed, no makeup, in bed, snuggie on, terrible lighting, just to say the thing. And I was like, I love that permission is coming out as well. So batching things in follicular, how you said it just now, how can I make this easier? Mm-hmm. How can I make this easier? How can I make this more fun? How can I make this just a more enjoyable experience for myself? Get those how things done, get those things scheduled, and just go down the list. Plan in follicular, but it shouldn't take you a long time. It shouldn't even take you a whole day, really, to plan for the rest of the month in follicular.
Yeah.
If you have your information from luteal, your what's and your whys, you should be able to really quickly just put them together. Quarterly planning, you should have some ideas of what's coming. You should be able to really easily break things down in follicular quickly. So an hour, maybe a half day, but it should be a pretty easy situation to get things into a nice list for yourself in follicular. And then you spend the rest of your follicular and month just ticking the things off of the list. So use this phase. It is a very powerful phase. It can get a lot of things done in your business, and it can be really strategically, just such a brilliant, clear strategy time. So give it that honor and due, and don't forget to keep asking yourself, how can I make this easier and how can I make it more fun?
Yes, I like that. I feel like we should end on that because that's like the perfect way to describe just life in general. Let's make it easier. Let's make it more fun. Right. And also to be in that follicular phase and just being in that. And things do feel lighter in that phase too. So it's a little bit easier sometimes to have a little dance party. If you're trying to do something and you need energy, my kids and I Even when we just feel low, we're like, let's have a dance party. Like, let's just move. Let's just, how can we make this more fun? So maybe when you're checking things off the list, you're listening to your favorite song at the same time.
100%. I love that. What a great tip. So thanks everyone for listening. And if you haven't gotten your copy of Bloody Brilliant Business, go grab it now in the show notes. And we will see you in the next episode for ovulation and flow. Yay! All right. Bye for now. A big shout out and thank you to our sponsors for today's episode, Period Coaching School and Katie Bresek Wellness.
Thanks to you, our favorite bestie, for listening to the Period Besties Podcast, where no topic is TMI. And of course, share this episode with your besties.
Remember to leave us a 5-star review, nothing less than the best for us besties, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
You can follow us on Instagram at Stasha Washburn and at Katie Bresek, or email us at periodbestiespodcast@gmail.com.
Check out more about us at katiebresek.com and periodcoachingschool.com. And of course, check the show notes for free goodies and extras that support this episode.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye for now, besties.